Heavy paramilitary boots marching down a rural village road. It looks like a military lockdown, but this is polling day in West Bengal's 2026 election. These security measures, restrictions so tight that ordinary people aren't even allowed to ride motorcycles, were ordered directly by the Election Commission of India. Listen to the campaign speeches, and you will hear two competing narratives. The ruling Trinamool Congress frames this election as a defense of regional identity. The opposition BJP pitches it as a choice for administrative reform. But there is an old Bengali phrase that captures the reality of the contest. Shak diye mach taka jai na. You cannot hide fish by covering it with spinach. Both parties are using heated rhetoric to mask the deeper problems plaguing the state. Because beneath the ballot box, the 2026 election is driven by three specific structural pressures: economic stagnation, outsourced violence, and religious mathematics that will continue to define the state long after the votes are counted. To understand the first pressure point, we have to look back. For 34 years, the Communist Left Front ruled Bengal, cementing their power by redistributing land to the peasantry. That the model broke when the government tried to forcefully acquire that same peasant land for industrial projects. The resulting violence in Singer and Nandigram didn't just stop the factories, it ended the political legitimacy of the Communist Party. When the TMC took over, they recognized that attempting large-scale industrial shifts was politically suicidal. In a state that was economically stagnating, they needed a different way to maintain popular support. The solution was the palliative route. Instead of building a new industrial base, the government began distributing direct cash doles and welfare freebies to manage the immediate economic anxieties of the population. The state has traded long-term investment for short-term financial relief. While this keeps the electorate afloat, it also makes the survival of the individual household dependent on the survival of the ruling party. This dependency is where the second pressure point emerges. In Bengal, political survival requires the ability to both withstand and inflict physical force, a cycle that has been part of the state's political DNA for half a century. This is what researchers call franchisee politics. Because the state's economy is focused on doles rather than industry, the ruling party needs local intermediaries to manage the distribution of those benefits at the village level. These local bosses run their territories as rent-seeking fiefdoms. They act as the gatekeepers for government doles, extracting their own cut from the local economy, while the party leadership in Kolkata looks the other way. In exchange for this impunity, the local boss provides the boots on the ground. They are the ones responsible for physical enforcement and ensuring the local community votes according to the franchise agreement. The Election Commission's 2026 security protocol is an attempt to physically break this chain. By flooding neighborhoods with central forces, they are trying to insulate the voter from the local strongman who controls their daily economic life. But as long as the state relies on these franchisees to manage the population, this model will continue to exert an asphyxiating hold on Bengal's weakest citizens. The final pressure point is the religious mathematics of the vote. Muslims make up nearly 30% of the state's electorate, and they have increasingly consolidated behind the TMC as a collective bloc to prevent a BJP victory. This has pushed the BJP to aggressively polarize the remaining 70% Hindu population. By capturing roughly 57% of that specific group, the parties have split the state into two monolithic, religiously defined camps. This split has turned routine administrative tasks into points of conflict. Every update to the voter rolls is now viewed through a lens of suspicion, with accusations of targeted deletions and gerrymandering coming from both sides. This demographic divide creates a social friction that risks lasting disruption to the internal stability of one of India's most populous states. On May 4th, the winners will use the results to validate their campaign slogans. The TMC will point to their win as a cultural mandate. The BJP will claim any gains as a victory for the integrity of the polling process. But the election results themselves will not resolve the state's structural decline. Bengal remains a state where economic growth has been replaced by cash handouts, where ideology has been replaced by a franchise model of gang politics, and where religious polarization has reached its highest level since independence. The 2026 battle for West Bengal is a struggle for political survival. But winning a seat in the assembly is not the same thing as addressing the fundamental problems of the people who live there.